Let's let the ancestors speak through us during this interview. I invoke ancestors like Marcus Garvey. I invoke ancestors like Dr. Sebi, Dr. Layla Africa, Shaka Zulu, Dr. Amos Wilson, any of the ancestors that left their intellectual properties behind. I ask to be a vessel for you to speak through me today. Ashe, amen.
Ashe. Peace, my brother.
Peace.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to be back, man. Hey, we killed it last time,
Yeah, we
man.
did. Second time, and it's gonna get it even better.
Let's do it.
Listen, what makes this so special is the fact that your knowledge in the area of health is so vast. I can ask you pretty much anything that's in my imagination, and you're gonna answer it with an amazing answer. So it's a pleasure being here with you today. I just wanted to start out like that. And we're going to talk about a lot of things, misconceptions about veganism, lies. I also want to congratulate you on your show on Netflix, Food Forensics.
Yeah, Food Forensic Investigation, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Tubi, Google Play, and Apple Play.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's going to be powerful, man.
Amazing. So we're going to have a great show. I want to get right to it. I want to start out with some of the misconceptions I have about veganism and people who don't eat meat is, and this is directly related to you, and I don't want you to take offense to it when I ask this question. When you think of a vegan and you look at the history of vegans and you look at Dr. Sebi, they look kind of frail.
Yeah, real skinny.
You don't look frail and you don't look skinny, my brother.
Yeah, I'm not.
In fact, your face might look a little bigger than mine, and I eat meat occasionally. Mm-hmm. So my question is, you a vegan, you say you eat fruit all the time. Why you not this frail little vegan character that in our mind, in our imagination, we all picture vegans to be, my brother?
It's because I truly cleanse my gut, and I know how to mix and ratio the proper foods to actually keep the sugars of glucose and fructose coming in, for I can build up, them fatty cells to keep weight on me. I teach people all the time about the 4 keys to the kingdom. It's called digestion. The second one is absorption. The third one is utilization. And then the last one is elimination. So when I went through my school and my studying and really studying how to heal my body and properly build, I studied a lot of gorillas, gorillas that's in the mountains and gorillas that's in the low plains, plus domesticated gorillas. And I always ask myself, dang, I noticed that the domesticated gorillas is the ones that's frail, the ones that's skinny. I noticed the ones that's in the mountain is skinny too, but the ones in the plains, they had a lot of muscle mass on them, and they don't work out. They don't do push-ups and sit-ups, but they build a lot of muscle mass. So I started studying their food and how they went through their process of digestion, their process of absorption, their process of utilization and elimination. And once you really cleanse the gut and cleanse the digestional tract, and you're absorbing, which means your phytonutrients and your nutrition, and you're not malnutrition, you will see that if you are by biology and physiology was created to eat fruits, because that's my stand, we're frugivores, then you should be able to build muscle or mass off of fruits. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not a frugivore 100%. 90% of my diet or livid do consist of all raw, and out of that 90, about 75% of that 90 consists of fruits. The others is vegetables. But I noticed that once I cleanse my intestinal tract, once I cleanse my duodenum, which is a little 9-inch intestinal tract inside of your stomach, it's connected to the colon. Once I was able to absorb all of those phytonutrients, all those amino acids, I never had a problem packing on pounds. And if you look at anybody else that follow the same dietary laws that I follow, or that follow my teaching personally, a lot of them, they lose weight in the beginning like I did, and then we gain a little bit of weight back. Like, I can never get bigger than this on this diet, but I can't keep my mass. And I got plenty of clinical trials to show that everybody that follow my teachings, that follow my livid or my diet style, they can gain actual weight and mass off a frugivore or raw diet.
So what about the people who are eating healthy but they can't lose weight? There's a lot of people out here that's eating healthy, but they're still a little big, and people like, nigga, you lying, you ain't vegan, get out of here. So what about those people?
So you got to look into how the body go through its metabolic process and what's control of the metabolic processes of the body. The thyroid gland is actually in control of the basal temperature. The thyroid is in control of utilizing calcium within the body. The thyroid is in control of T3s and T4s. This is parathyroid and tyrosine, the amino acids, is also in control of converting your LDL cholesterol into your LDL cholesterol into sex hormones, but it's in control of the metabolic process. So notice people that have Hashimoto's or people that deal with hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism, they deal with goiters. Notice they either skinny and they metabolize their food too fast and they can't gain weight, or they're fat and they holding on to a lot of excess weight in water and they can't metabolize their food fast enough, so it keeps weight on them. That's all to do with the thyroid. Then we have to look at the pancreas. The pancreas is one of the biggest digestive organs on the body. The pancreas is actually in control of at least 6,000 enzymic reactions inside of the body. It helps you break down your food. It brings chyme into the system. It communicates and it works with the liver to bring bile. Bile is an actual basal salts that help breaks down fats and lipids. So if something is wrong with the pancreas and you're not getting them pancreatic enzymic reactions, for one, like sodium bicarbonate. Sodium bicarbonate is basically a sodium or a alkaline sodium that's produced by the pancreas to slow down the heating up of your food once it passed through your stomach, because they have to go through this hydrochloric acid to break the food down. So all of your digestive organs come together. If any of those are not working properly, then your food is not going to break down, and of course you're going to retain that sugar. That sugar is going to then be stored up as glycogen. That glycogen is glycogen, and the glycogen stores up fat. So we dealing with the thyroid gland, we dealing with the pancreas, you dealing with different types of, the digestive system is so big, so it can be any of those things. And that's why I love for people to go to their doctors or go to their fast tracks and actually get a CBC chart, which is called a complete blood work, and then check their thyroids, check their autonomic nervous system, check their adrenal glands. That way when they come to me, I can read through all of that stuff, because we know how to read that stuff real easy, and I can pinpoint why they not losing weight. Because I had a problem gaining weight at first. When I first went on my journey, I was super skinny. They thought I had AIDS. Everybody, the whole family, like, you got AIDS or something? You sick? Wow. Is you dying? You smoking crack? They thought I was sick because I was skinny, and I'm short. So I'm short and I'm looking frail. But once I really truly cleansed my gut out, and I was able to absorb my phytonutrients, my amino acids, and my biophotons, I started packing on weight. Now to the point where I gotta make sure I'm doing cardio or staying active, because it don't take nothing for me to utilize and absorb the phytonutrients that I'm eating and convert these things over into amino acids and mass to keep the weight on me.
For the people that are spiritual out there and they believe in something called aura. Yeah. I've read in a book, I believe it was Judy King, I believe her name is, and she said that the microbiome extends 7 to 12 inches out the body, permeates outside the body, and it creates what we call the aura. So our aura is actually an extension of the microbiome that is in our stomach. What do you think about that?
I can believe that, but I can add to that too, because your microbiota come from the mycelium network, and the mycelium network is this invisible network and energy that keeps all things connected together, keep all things moving. That's where you get shrooms and mushrooms from, fungi. Trees can't grow without the mycelium network. In fact, we wouldn't exist without the mycelium network. And this is truly where your prokaryotic cells come from, your prokaryotes, and your eukaryotic cells, the eukaryotes, come from, and that's what makes up who we are. We have to understand that the body is made of 150 trillion cells when we're talking about human beings. I'm specifically speaking about melanated beings, because when you look at the Caucasians, their body is only made of about 50 trillion cells. We have more cells in them, and we are more mineral dense than them, meaning we have more minerals collected inside our bone calcium matrix than them as well. So we are a completely different species. So just speaking on our species, or who they will call the Negroes or the African Americans or the melanated people, we have 150 trillion cells in our body. Out of 150 trillion cells in our body, 100 trillion of them cells belong to something called the microbiota or the microbiome. And the microbiome is these single cell organisms. You have some in your gut that's called Candida albumins. You have another one that's called lactobacillus, another one called bifidum bacteria. And these things in your body, they help you in the mitochondria. We have to talk about the mitochondria, because the mitochondria is how you yield ATP, which stands for adenosine triphosphate, to give you energy. These are ancient billions and billions a year old microorganisms that actually do all the functioning in your body. For instance, without the microorganisms in your body, you cannot break down your food. That's what make your food ferment. That's how you get gas, because if they break down your food too fast and you can't get rid of it, it builds up methane. This methane is where you get gas, and you have to factuate or release yourself from all the gases that's being built up. Not only that, they take the broke down food and they pass it through something called blood capillaries. Then once these phytonutrients get to the blood capillaries, the microbiota or these bacteria help the actual phytonutrients that's in the bloodstream make it to 50 trillion of the cells to actually feed the cells. Not only that, they give you your thoughts. They secrete certain hormones through their urine and through their feces that make you fiend and crave for certain foods. They are part of your electrical nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. So when it comes to the microbiota, these are very important things, because we think that we're human beings and we don't realize that the body is made of cells, and then cells actually make up different organs. These organs make up systems.
10 bacteria to every cell.
Yeah, well,
10 to 1 ratio?
No, it's more than that, man. It's more than that, because think about it. If you look at cells and you study cell physics and cellular biology, and you look at the cell is a miniature you. So like I said, we are made of 150 trillion cells, right? I call us a miniature universe. But when you get a cell and you biopsy a cell and you look at that cell, these cells have something called organelles. You have something called organs. On a macro scale, they say, oh, okay, Brother Rich have organs. You have a gallbladder, you have a liver, you have another bladder called the urinary bladder, you have a heart, you have a nervous system, you have a skeleton structure in a macro. But if I take one of your 150 trillion cells, biopsy it and put it under a microscope, I'm going to see organelles. Guess what I'm going to see? I'm going to see mitochondria. The mitochondria is a bacterium. Guess what this bacterium is in control of? Breaking down your food. Not only is it in control of breaking down your food, but it's in control of utilizing the energy or the fructose and the glucose of the food to give you energy. Then I'm going to be searching in the cell and I'm going to see something called a lysosome. The lysosome acts as the actual digestive system. It actually breaks down the food more and secretes it outside the body due to something called exosome. So now I'm looking at the exosome. The exosome actually looks like the urinary tract. Then I'm going to get to the cellular nucleus. The nucleus is actually the gonads of the cell, because the gonads, your gonads hold your sperm that makes your children. It's the blueprint that you pass down to your children. Well, if you look inside the nucleus, it holds something called DNA. This DNA is then replicated by something called RNA, and that's what births a new cell. Then you start looking at the cellular membrane around the cell. This stuff look like a mucous membrane. So even your cell have its own mucous membrane. Your cell have eyes. Your cells can hear. They vibrate. They work in communities. They talk with each other. They damn near gangbang. Let the wrong cells come in the wrong neighborhood. Something called an immunological system gonna activate. Then you got T cells, B cells, phagocytes, lymphocytes coming to either kill, steal, and destroy.
Y'all hear this, man? This is cool.
So, but I'm just saying all this to say this. The microbiota is very important, and the microbiota is our ancestors. We are the altar. See, a lot of people want to get altars, and they want to put water on their altars. They want to put food on their altars. They want to put their dead relatives on their altars. And I'm not knocking anybody, but you are the true altars, because your microbiota comes from your ancestors. They are still living within us. They activate our immunological system. They help us fight off different deities or different, demon expressions, or what we call parasites, and all these different. And you have bad ancestors in you too, which is microbiota that grow big and become pathogentic. You see what I'm saying? So if we look at this if we start colliding, I don't even want to say colliding, if we start in syncing spirituality and health, it'll make more sense. So we become the altar when we feed our bodies the right things, because you feed in the microbiome the things that it needs to give you longevity. Because remember, the microbiota or these single cell organisms come from your ancestors, and it's impossible for you to digest your food. It's impossible for you to do any type of digestional factors, absorption factors, utilization factors, and elimination factors without prebiotics, probiotics, or what we just call the regular microbiota.
Indeed. So with the microbiome, let's talk about good bacteria, bad bacteria. A lot of people, when they hear the word bacteria, they just think about bad bacteria, but there's good bacteria as well.
Yeah.
There's a process that I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard about. in this whole new world when we talk about the microbiome. That's why I want to talk about this, and I'm glad you talked about the gut because we can start with this, called fecal matter transplant.
Yeah.
So with fecal matter transplant, they take the fecal matter for one person, put it in another person, and through lab tests, let's say with mice, it has been shown that it will make an aggressive mice passive, or passive mice aggressive. It will change the personality. Now, fecal matter is 60% bacteria. So my question to you, the fecal matter is 60% bacteria. It could completely alter your personality. If a person, let's say, because some people are allergic to strawberries. So you're allergic to strawberries. You decide to do a fecal matter transplant. Now you're not allergic to strawberries because they changed the bacteria in you. I'm thinking about the genius and the intelligence of bacteria. Is it possible that the bacteria in you, they don't want you to eat the foods that they don't fuck with?
Facts.
So they like, nigga, you eat a strawberry, I'm gonna make you throw up.
Facts.
So we just allergic to it, but we don't know there's a civilization within us that don't want us to be great. They will make us throw up what's good for us.
You own something.
Talk to me, brother.
And this is what I call, because there's, in a sense, that's what I would call bad bacteria, because there's really no such thing as good bacteria and bad bacteria in a scientific way. It's what you're doing with your vessel. So I just want to hit on that before I answer your question. For one, how you born have a lot to do whether you have good bacteria, bad bacteria, where this bacteria is at. But depending on the location of the bacteria is how it reacts. So if you put it in a bad location or you put it in a bad environment, it's going to respond to the environment to survive. So it's kind of like judging somebody on doing the best thing they know how to do is survive. It's like, dang, how can we judge them when they was really just trying to survive? It's the same way with the bacteria. If we put it into a bad environment, it's going to react. If you get open sores and open cuts because you eating acids, and these acidic acids going to change the way the microbiome interacts with your body. You have microbiomes to break down and decay and ferment your food. You actually have microbiome to decay a dead body. Have you ever seen a cat die? And then you look at the cat and you wonder why it's just end up with furs where all the flesh go. And then you go and you look at the cat, it's maggots and it's stuff like that. You have to ask yourself, where did the maggots come from? This come from the microbiome within inside of the actual animal structure. These are many studies been done where they lock a cat up, a dead cat, put it in a box, cut it off from all air and any outside or external forces. Then they come back a month later and the cat is completely gone. It's a few strands of hair left. And then you see maggots and stuff inside of the box. So you have to ask yourself, where did these big ass parasitical maggots come from? It come from within inside of the cat because the cat is full of what? Microorganisms, or the microbiome. So if you look at it, there's really no such thing as good and bad bacteria. It's our perception on what the bacteria do when we expose the bacteria or our bodies, which is made of 150 trillion bacteria, to a certain environment. Now, if you look at the bacteria, and like you was talking about the fecal matter transplant, they are now doing that in humans because they realize how important the microbiome is. Again, it's in control of breaking down your food. It's in control of your thoughts through the secretions and the defecation that they give out. There's been different exchanges of microbiomes where people get prebiotics and they stop taking antibiotics and their whole mindset change, showing you that we're not even thinking for ourselves. This is just a vessel and a vehicle. Who we truly are is the microbiota. We are our ancestors. And I just think the more and more we get into quantum physics and the more we dive deeper into health, we'll start truly understanding it. And I don't agree with the fecal matter transfer, but I'm glad that we're doing it now because now we're realizing the gut and mind connection due to the microbiota. So yes, these parasitics can really change your mind. It's plenty times that we put people on detox and they got rid of the parasites and they stopped craving grains. They stopped craving snack foods. They stopped craving all these junk foods. So it's like, okay, if we get rid of all of these parasites, then all of a sudden you stop craving the things that was making you sick and bringing up your acidic levels, then what was giving you those cravings in the first place? It had to be the parasites, or what we AKA the microbiota.
Let's get a little spiritual with it. So since you keep saying that we are ancestors, and in the last interview you did, you said we are a group of entities that come together to form what we call this human body.
Yeah.
So in the spiritual community, we are taught that we're a soul. We're an individual soul. So are we souls with an S because we are entities, or because we're ancestors? Is it more than one soul inhabiting this body, or are we just one soul? I'm trying to figure this thing out because I want to combine spirituality and health together.
So this is how I look at it. You have the conscious self. You you have the communal self, or what we call the tribal self, and then you have the ego self. So I believe that we are fifth dimensional beings that's having a human experience in this vehicle. This is an avatar. But the life is in the blood. That's the reason why if you drain the vehicle or the vessel of the blood, you're draining of the fuel and all the necessities that it needs to live. And you see that this body become lifeless. So where's the life truly at? The life is in the electrical conduit of the body, plus it's in the blood. When you check the blood and you look at how much bacteria is helping the blood function, you have to sit back and ask yourself a question. What is bringing me life? What brings us life is something called a signal. This signal is an electrical spark that comes from the infinite or the universe. It's called epigenetics. Dr. Bruce Lipton talk about this all the time. Without this signal that comes from the environment that molds and shape you through the hair of your skin to tell you how to interact with your environment, you will be nothing but a solid block of proteins. So what gives this solid block of proteins, or what we call amino acids movements, is a signal. But guess who take the signal though and give the instructions to the amino acids of the body? The microbiota. So I believe that we are our ancestors, and I believe that our ancestors are the microbiota. Once you get into prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells, these things is 4 to 7 billion years old. These things was here before they claimed that the earth existed. So if these microbiotas and these pre-existing ancient bacteria existed before us, then who are we? This is nothing but a vessel. So like who is really speaking right now? You know what I'm saying? And these are questions that we really got to start entertaining. So based off of that prognosis, I would say that we are many different living entities that create a one, kind of like the Power Rangers. You know, they had their own unique skills, but when they morphed and they put their hand together and they created one big ass vehicle, and they was able to whoop a lot of ass. But as individuals, they were still great. But once they brought that community together and became one, that's what made them up. I believe that God created 7 billion different people to experience his creation. And I believe that we are all part of that Christ consciousness, or what called God consciousness. But I do believe that we are percentages of the sun, but I believe all of us together make up the entire sun, or this intellectual energy property that we call God. If that makes any sense.
No, it makes total sense. It makes total sense, my brother. So we talked last time and you talked about fruit water versus regular water. So one of the things, and let's go into the topic of misconceptions in the vegan community, some things that may be lies in the vegan community and all of that stuff. One of the things they say in the vegan community that's a popular notion is that you should drink a gallon of water a day. Now, since you don't drink water, do you drink a gallon of fruit water a day?
No, why would I do that? Your body already is made of 78 to 80% water. And edemia is when your body starts retaining water because the cells cannot hold it anymore because you're drowning the cells. When you look at a cell, your cell have a water, potassium, and salt ratio. The moment that ratio go out and your acids start being pushed from the cells, what's going to happen is the body have to compensate from the acid being pushed out of the cells, because the acids is already slightly acidic on a 6.4 potential hydrogen. So the more water you drink, the more it literally dehydrate the body. You can literally drown yourself. It's different. You can look this stuff up where people have drowned themselves by drinking so much water every single day. And not only that, water is a natural universal solvent. It purifies and cleanses the cells. So you rinsing all of your electrolytes out of your body by drinking too much water. Not only that, you drown in the cells, you pushing potassium monophosphate out of the cells. Not only that, you pushing sulfur out of the cells, you pushing minerals like magnesium out of the cells, and then your body create pockets to hold this water to keep most of the cellular integrity together for you won't drown and die. So then you start seeing people get swelling of the ankles, swelling of the foot, swelling of the legs, swelling of the arms, and then you push on it. It's very edemic. We work with a lot of clients. You can put your thumb and your finger inside their skin and then make an imprint or impression on their skin. That's how much water is retained inside their body. If you're a body that's made of 150 trillion cells, and that's what make up who you are, a human being. Remember I said that cells actually make up these different organs. These organs make up systems, and then these systems make you a human being, right? If you jump in the ocean right now and you don't swim, what is going to happen to you? You're going to drown. You're going to drown. You jump in the ocean, don't swim, you're going to drown. So if your cells are a miniature you and they have organelles just like you have organelles, if you're putting water constantly in your body every day, gallons and gallons of water, even a gallon a day, which a lot of people do it and surviving, but we have a lot of problem with people developing all types of different diseases for following that rule or that instruction, then what's going to happen to your cells? You're drowning out your cells, and you're cleansing the cells of all of the different organelles that they need, all the metabolic processes they need. Now, is you getting rid of waste? Yes, you are. Because, I mean, remember, it's a universal solvent. We see water as powerful. It can cleanse anything. If we get a stain on the floor right now, guess what we're going to need to get the stain up? You're going to use some agents and some chemicals, but guess what you're going to mix it with? That universal solvent, which is water. So we have to start thinking things in my art and thinking things in balance. The body is made for H3O2 to be converted into H3O. The body was not made for H2O. Am I knocking H2O? No, I'm not. Do H2O, can you survive off of H2O? Yes, we've been surviving for centuries and thousands of years off of H2O. So I'm not knocking it in that way. I'm just saying it's used for different purposes. That's the water in the drinking water for animals, not for mammals like us or human beings. We're made for higher heights, and we're made for more electrical foods that come with the amino acids, and that comes with all of the vital minerals that we need inside of it, and the sugars that we need, and that's your H3O2. It's so much hydration to it. You know, you can do 30 ounces a day, and you will be way better off than drinking a gallon of water a day. And we got this from clinical trials and proving this time after time after time. There's not one case that I healed of herpes, HIV, sickle cell anemia, leukemia, not one where we did it on water. We did it on an all fruit diet and all fruit juices with limited herbs.
You're big on your cases and your testimonies. What if somebody who does something opposite from you has healing testimonies as well? What does that say about the whole health industry? If you say one thing, you got healing testimonies. I do the complete opposite of you. I have healing testimonies. What does that say about this whole health thing? Children are our future, family. Make sure you go and buy Caleb Petey in the Forest on Amazon today. It's a visual masterpiece in terms of giving your child the confidence that they need to know who they are, family. Caleb Petey in the Forest on Amazon. Go get it.
Peace, 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 love, light of healing, peace to the gods, peace to the earth. If you're looking for any alkaline herbs, if you're looking for healing, if you're looking just to have your body cleansed, if you're looking to reach certain weight goals, anything when it comes to holistic healing, make sure you visit www.YahkiAwakened.com. Again, www.YahkiAwakened.com. Everybody have their different methodologies of healing. And that shows you that the biology of belief is real. That if your mindset is on something and you put your body in that different environment and you believe it enough and you're working towards that healing, you can get it. You know, there's many different ways they say to skin a cat. So I'm not if you got healing testimonies, I can't refute or knock your evidence, but in the same breath, you can't refute or knock mine. Everybody need to be heard if you have healing testimonies. But these Negroes out here that ain't healing a damn thing and is very opinionated, and them the ones who I'm talking to.
Another thing I want to ask you in terms of, we're talking about bacteria, whether it's good or bad, and the microbiome, is the modern society, when we get sick, we go to, these institutions and we take something called antibiotics.
Yeah.
And from what I understand in my study and my research, now you're talking about what's going on inside, like it's a universal, like it's a civilization or a society or it's a community. So let's say we have 1,000 people in the community. Out of those 1,000 people, 100 of those 1,000 are bad guys. They shoot, they rob, they kill, they loot, they do all types of criminal activity. So from my understanding is, let's say antibiotics is a solution. What that does is that not only destroys the bad guys, it kills the whole village, the whole community,
right.
Wipes out everybody.
Right.
And that's what we're taking. And that's what we've come to now. Talk to me about antibiotics and what exactly it's doing to good bacteria, bad bacteria, microbiome.
Well, it shows you that antibiotics is not a solution, it's actually a pollution. And if you look at the first word, anti means against, bio means life. So antibiotics means against life. Antibiotics, they kill the gut microbiome and they kill all the other microbiotas inside the body. So you have to ask your question, what is the bacteria in my body? What's the purpose of them? We talked about it earlier that the purpose is to break down your food. The purpose is to go through the metabolic process. The purpose is to help lipid transportation. They have thousands and thousands and thousands of purposes in your body. But all of them collectively have a major purpose in your body, and that's to keep your body at a balance of ma'at, or what we'll call a pH, potential hydrogen balance, meaning that they keep your body in a neutral state, along with your lymphatic system and along with your circulatory system, or what we call the blood system. So if you look at what the bacteria in your body do, they were created to eat acids. That's their main food supply, to eat acids. And so much of a fact that they use acid to ferment your food. They use acid to help break down your food for absorption. They use acids for utilization. So they literally consume acids and utilize acids to do their functioning in your body. So say if you are suffering from acidosis, right? And since you're suffering from acidosis, bacteria is created to eat acids. The first thing that they're going to do is they're going to call the game. It's called a bacterial infection, where bacteria localize a spot, centralize a spot, come to the spot, and they start chewing on these acids. Doctors in the community, instead of showing you that the bacteria is there to eat up the acids, that's the reason why they over-culturalize, and they give you something called an antibiotic. So they give you the antibiotic. Guess what the antibiotic going to do? It's going to go through the body and kill the localization of the bacteria. So it kills the bacteria, but guess what it didn't get rid of? The acids. So now you still got acidosis, and you don't have the community no more to be the street cleaners or the street sweepers to get rid of the acids. So that's why you see women with like bacterial vaginosis, reoccurring bacterial vaginosis, and we wondering why the bacteria don't go away and why it's steady reoccurring and why it's steady there, is because they're not going after the actual root cause of the problem, which is the acidosis from them eating acidic foods and being in an acidic environment. What they're doing is killing the bacteria. And what the bacteria does when you kill it, it mutates. And it stops the bacteria from being diverse inside of your stomach and inside of your body. This is scientifically proven that the more diversity of bacteria or the microbiome you got in your body, the longer you live. So now we're killing out certain colonizations of bacteria in the body, which shorten your lifespan, because remember, the body is made of 150 trillion cells, and out of 150 trillion cells, 100 trillion of those do not belong to you, but belongs to the gut microbiome, or what we call the microbiome.
So you said we need a diverse microbiome.
Yes.
So if I'm healthy, and let's say my diet consists of a banana, some grapes, just some a collard green wrap or whatever, and I eat the same thing pretty much every day, is that not advisable because it's not creating a diverse microbiome? Should I be eating something, introducing something different to my stomach every week?
Facts. I mean, I wouldn't even say every week, every month, every season. The best thing, your greatest teacher is nature. Study nature, see how animals eat in seasons. You know, if you look at a gorilla eat more of their bamboo shoots and more of their heavy things when fall is coming. They eat more of they localized herbs when spring coming to clean out their body. During the summer, they eat most of their fruits, their strawberries and all things like that, when you really study how gorillas move, because they need to hydrate their body. So if you look at within all the seasons, a gorilla will change up its food to match the season it's in, to keep the diversity of the gut microbiome localized in the gut and throughout the body. Same thing for us. We go through seasons as well. So, you know, sometimes if you're going to be in a cold winter, which we're not supposed to be in the cold, but if you're going to be in a cold winter, get your lipid game up. You know, avocados, that comes with fatty acids and lipids. You got something called walnuts. Them come with fatty acids and lipids. You can eat certain grains that's not going to break down and be too strenuous on the body. Them got certain things that help keep that cushion and hold that heat in. In the summertime, dive deep into your H3O2 and get on your fruits. In the springtime, make sure you do a herbal cleanse. So if we follow nature, even babies have to be introduced to different steps of the eating community too. You know, when they first come out, they can't get no water. They advise you not to give a baby water because it poisons them. I want to put that out there too. H2O poison babies. But guess what? Don't poison them. H3O2. Just want to put that out there. And then notice they on milk for a certain amount of time. Then when them bottom teeth come in, these are called they trypsin teeth. These are tasting teeth, because now their body can produce amylase and trypsin to help break down more heavier foods. This is when you start introducing them to fruits. Then you keep them on the fruits, but now you can start introducing, when they get older, around 1 year old, you can start adding in a citric fruits. Then after 1 year old, you can start introducing them to certain types of grains and certain types of legumes sprouted. So it all just depends on, the mother and of course the tradition. But if you look at the evolutionary process of babies, mammals, animals, even the fruit kingdom or the vegetable kingdom, they always change they live it or they diet up according to seasons, for they can keep that diversity of the microbiota localized inside their gut.
Is eating foods from other areas is it not as effective from eating foods in your local area? And the reason why I ask that is because the land, nature's intelligent, and nature knows who's inhabiting its land, and nature knows what to provide the people who's inhabiting its land. So if I eat food from New Zealand, nature provided that for those people that's out there. So is it harmful or hurtful to eat foods like, let's say, Miami fruits? I get food from, they'll ship me fruits from all over, from Miami, from here, from there. Is it kind of hurtful to the body to eat fruits from other geographical regions?
Man, that is a powerful question, brother. You be coming with some questions.
Thank you, brother.
I'll give you that. I would say yay and nay. It all depends on the season. It depends on how they packing the fruit. Because, you know, for instance, soursop. You get soursop from Miami. We get it all the time. About the time they get it to you, it's rotten. It done putrefied on you. So of course I can't eat that. That'd be bad for me. Then we got to talk about geographical location and geographical genetics. You know, these are studies that I have done myself and have the clinical trials and scientific data to back it up. You know, in Africa and in Europe, if you look at the burdock root have more iron phosphate than it has inside the Americas, because we know that the Americas is lacking a lot of nutrients and is most definitely lacking a lot of vital minerals that the body needs to stay in a balance of homeostasis. So I would say within what's going on within the earth right now, I think we should be diverse and we should go out and get certain things, because America is just lacking minerals and lacking phytonutrients. Now, if we was in a perfect world and, you know, they wasn't deindustrializing the world, they weren't cutting down all the trees and spilling oils in the water and just messing up Mother Earth, I would say no. But since, you know, the world is being destroyed by these people and they're specifically going after our food and our phytonutrients and our revitalization, I think it'd be good to diversify ourselves and, you know, order foods. If we can get it still fresh within a couple of days to our doorstep, I think that is like the most powerful thing we can do. Because, I mean, if you look at the food that's growing right here in the Americas, especially when you go where I'm at, where it's Midwest, when you getting into the middle and you going more into the colder climates, man, we are lacking so much phytonutrients and minerals. And you know that 99% of your so-called diseases are mineral deficiency diseases. And there's no mineral in the soils in the Americas. But if you go to different parts of Jamaica, you go to different parts of Africa, you go to different parts of Belize, and, you know, they soil content is still good. So if you can buy from there and purchase from there, do it. Now, in a perfect world, and we didn't have these reptilian beings here, you know, sucking all the life out of the soil, I say no. You know, eat where you from. But since we are not in that type of position, I say it's good that you're doing what you're doing, which is ordering some food in every now and then and getting your palate and your gut microbiome familiar with new things.
So since we're talking about different geological locations, I got a question. Y'all talk a lot about the circadian rhythm. And when I say y'all, I mean the health gurus, the health teachers. Now, my question is, and y'all say with the circadian rhythm, the body shuts down at a certain time and you don't digest food no more, things of that nature. So you should stop eating around 9 o'clock. Am I correct, around 9 o'clock?
No, it's way before 9 o'clock.
So it's before 9 o'clock. My question is, if I'm in LA and I'm a businessman and I ain't have dinner yet or whatever, and I decide to fly to New York, now it's 5 o'clock where I'm at. I'm in New York and it's 3 hours ahead. How does my circadian rhythm know that time just shifted 3 hours ahead? Like, this is when I think time's an illusion, or either the circadian rhythm thing is wrong, because you can literally go somewhere and get pushed back 12 hours, get pushed forward 12 hours, get pushed back 3 hours. How does your circadian rhythm keep up with all this and know what's going on?
The circadian rhythm is not based off of time. The circadian rhythm, or what we call the biological clock, is actually governed by light. So that's what it's the light cold frequencies and the biophotons that's stimulated by your pineal gland and your pituitary gland, and it's regulated by serotonin and melatonin. Each individual organ in your body got a biological clock based off of light cold frequencies between light and darkness. Light and darkness actually have mass and matter to it, and based off of that and that reflective light cold frequency that you get from your eyes, it stimulates the pineal gland, and then that's what's going to govern, and that's what's going to let you know, basically, oh, it's dark outside. My eyes is not reflecting that type of light anymore. Let my organs start slowing down. Let my intrinsic nervous system and my autonomic nervous system start relaxing itself. The vagus nerve is going to start, going on its rampage to start breaking down things in the body. So it's not necessarily the time, it's the light. So if you are in LA which is behind everybody. They're about 2 hours, 3 hours, they're about 5 hours behind here. We in Atlanta, and you fly to New York where it's the same time here. And if it's you in LA and it's light, and then you fly to Atlanta and it's dark, what's going to happen is your eyes is going to see that darkness, and that's going to change the biological clock and structure of your body due to the melatonin and serotonin in your body. So it's not really based off time. It's all dictated by light and darkness.
Now, I seen one of the things in the vegan community that's big is cashews. People eat cashews. You know, you can make like a cheesecake, or you could make the shakes, and we use cashews a lot. You know, when it comes to the health community. I see some pictures of people picking cashews on the internet that was grotesque. Their hands was like
black cracks in them. All of the hydrogen is sucked from the bottom.
I'm reading that it's a poison.
Yeah. So
now, should we or should we not be consuming cashews?
I would say this: if we're gonna look at it from a food forensic investigation point of view, I would say no, because cashews is hard to break down. But if you look at the actual fruit of the cashew, which is the cashew apple, is literally called an apple. You can eat the apple. That's digestible, and it's a fruit, and it yields H3O2, and it comes bittersweet. You supposed to eat that part, but out of that fruit grows the actual seed or the nut. It's not technically, it's not a nut. If you actually look it up, it's actually a fruit, the whole thing. But it's a shell that wraps around the nut, and that shell has something called anacardic acid in it, and this anacardic acid breaks down to something called urashiro oil, and that's the actual acidic part. And that's why when you see people's hands is all dark and it's cracked up and it's dehydrated, that acid is bad. If you look at the cashew family, you actually study the family of it. It's the cousin of poison ivy. So the same thing that poison ivy do, irritate the skin, irritate the eyes, burn the skin, leave lesions, is the same thing that the anacardic oil or the anacardic acid that the cashew shell of the nut produce it. Now, it is some inside of the nut as well. It's not as high of a content that it is in the shell, but it is some in the nut. So what they do is they take it through these astringent processes. They use air, pressure, and they use water to soak that shell to get it real moist, and then they pop the shell open. Once they pop the shell open, they take the actual nut or the seed of that nut part out, and then they roast it. And when they roast it, they roast out all the anacardic acid in there, or the ushiro oil. So yeah, it's real bad. So me personally, if we're gonna come from a food forensic investigation, I say leave the actual cashew nut alone and bite into the fruit, which is edible, because technically, in order for you got to do so much industrialized shit to even be able to eat it. Why go through all that, just not eat it and just stick to the actual apple part? The apple part is edible, but the vine, the shoot, and the actual nut part that grows from the fruit, outside of the fruit itself, which is why they don't call it a nut, them are very acidic, and not only do they have anacardic acid in it or uracil acid, but it got phytic acid, and it have lectins in it as well. And we know that phytic acid is a binding mineral. It binds to minerals, and it inhibit minerals from being absorbed inside of your duodenum. So we looking at phytic acid, which is a mineral inhibitor, a mineral binding. It really bind to magnesium and bind to calcium. Then we're looking at anacardic acid, which is very astringent on the cells. It burns the cells. It burns the skin. If it burns the skin, I mean it burns the inner tissues of your body, and that's going to strip calcium from the bone calcium matrix, which is going to be crystallization, and it's going to be a bunch of coagulation that's going on inside of the system. And then we look at it, last but not least, it's very dehydrating, and you have to do so much to nature to even produce these things like that. That's why you would never ever see them selling in the US. It's illegal to sell cashews with the shells on it. You always want to find them raw, and then they lie about the raw because you can't eat them raw. They always roast them. Just because they lightly roast it, they call it raw. And you never roast all of the anacardic acid out of it. So these things are called slow death, the slow buildup. You building up slow phytic acid, you building it up slowly in the body, you building up slow anacardic acid slowly in the body. And these things lead to later health issues down the line, the more and the longer you consume them. But the fruit of it, the actual cashew apple, that actually is, in fact, edible. Now, I will talk about the genetic mutation too. For the last, say, 50 to 100 years, they've been genetically modifying the cashew as well, because the cashew in its essence is bitter. but it's so bitter, and then again, all the anticardic acid in there, it will kill you. So they've been giving these strands over into different genetics and different mutations to try to get as much as the phytic and anticardic acid and the erythritol oil out of it. So now cashew is technically GMO.
So continuing with this food forensic investigation, you're not big on grains.
No.
What do you think about spelt bread? I heard that's the bread to go to if you're going to eat bread. Spelt
That's
bread.
not the bread to go to at all. Spelt is actually...
brother, don't say that.
Spelt is gluten. It's gluten.
Just as bad as what, white?
Yeah, white bread. Yeah, might as well be. So if we go back to the Neolithic time, and if we dive back thousands and thousands of years years ago, before the Egyptians, before the ancient Sumerians, we're talking about the Natufian tribe. Have you ever heard of the Natufian tribe?
No.
So I want you to study that. We go back to the Natufian tribe, and we get back in Nubia, which is before Sumer and all of that, who everybody really got their knowledge from, even certain Egyptians. You know what I'm saying? You will start seeing it was a wheat called I-corn. All right, so I-corn was this 28 chromosome wheat. And they started, the hunters and gatherers started getting that and eating that. They noticed that they seen the cattle eating it. And when they seen the cattle eating it, they thought that they can eat it. So they figured out a way to cultivate it. They figured out a way to process it and turn it into I-corn flour. Well, what this I-corn did so many thousand years ago, it made it with this high grass. And when it made it with this high grass, it became Elmer wheat. So we got I-corn, and then I-corn became Elmer wheat. Elmer wheat is a 14 chromosome strand grass. Now from this Elmer wheat, what they did was it made it with other different grasses, and this is actually where you get spelt from. Right now, when you start looking at spelt, the thing about you, so we got 46 chromosomes apiece, right? So your mother had some and your daddy had some, they mix them together. But guess what? You didn't add 4 plus 6 to 4 plus 6, and then you get your chromosomes. You ended up with 46 chromosomes, right? Well, the difference with plants is if a plant have 5 chromosomes and it make with another plant to have 6 chromosomes, it end up with 11 chromosomes. That's the only species of living species on this earth that can do that, where they match chromosomes and then they add them. Instead of us, we got 46, and then you make a baby, it still got 46. So if you look at what these things do to you, they actually mess with your chromosomes. And your chromosomes is who you are. That's your genetical information. Not only that, when you study grains, all grains, they have lectins in it. Lectins is basically these anti-nutrient chemicals that's inside of grains, because grains don't want to be eaten because they're the seeds of grass. Seeds are not made to be eaten because seeds is what regrows the reproductive part of the plant. So of course the creator is going to put something inside the seeds that if you eat it, it's going to upset your stomach, or it's going to do a slow buildup of mucus or something to keep you from eating it, because these seeds don't need to be eaten, because they know intuitively that they have to regrow and yield food for you to eat. So lectins. Then you have something called wheat germ agglutinin that comes from these wheats. And what wheat germ agglutinin is a complex protein. And what wheat germ agglutinin does is stop something called leptin, not lectins, which what I was just talking about. So you got lectins, which is an anti-nutrients, which is L-E-C-T-I-N. Then you got leptin, which is L-E-P-T-I-N. And what leptin is, it's a fat burning cell. And it literally inhibits this fat burning cell, wheat germ agglutinin. So whenever you eating wheat or whatever you eating grains, you eating this wheat germ agglutinin, you actually stopping your fat burning cells from actually burning the cells in your body, and then you start accumulating visceral fat. Visceral fat is hard to get rid of. Now, not only that, if you eat it, these actually blocks and it proliferates something called estrogen. This is what grains do. So you see a man and boys walking around with man boobs. That's coming from the actual wheat germ agglutinin. Now, if you look at proline is actually amino acid, and it creates something called proline. Proline mixed with glutenin. This is what actually creates gluten. This is actually what creates gluten inside of your wheat. These things can pass the blood and brain barrier and actually attach to morphine and opiate receptors on the brain, and they stimulate your appetite. So the more grains you eat, the more food you want. So you eat grains all day and you full, but you wondering why you just can't get enough and you still hungry. That's because it stimulates your appetite. Not only that, studies being shown.
It's a bad dude here, y'all.
Man, this stuff is crazy.
It's a bad dude.
Not only that, the grains, they actually make you crazy. It's been studies shown in certain orphanages, in certain places where they have psychological issues, where they take and they leave the grains from them. And they did this on celiac patients too, where they took the grains from these people and they had less psychiatric episodes. But when they introduced introduced the grains back to them, they went crazy again. Not only that, these are high fungus foods because they take longer to break down. Not only that, it's something called amylopectin A that's inside of them, right? And and you have something called amylose or amylase inside of your mouth and in your stomach that breaks amylopectin down real fast. So you get high blood sugar from it. 99% of diabetes cases is not from these artificial sugars, but it's really from the sugars that's coming from the grains. Hold on, not only that though, when it breaks down the amylopectin C, you still have these hard polypeptide chains called opioid polypeptide chains that can't even get broken down. When you look at the peptide chains, it's 21 peptide chains in each of your grains, right? When you chew them and break them down, the hydrochloric acid in your stomach can only break them down to 5 peptide chains. So the stomach don't even know what to do with the rest of them because it's too complex in amino acid structure. So guess what this shit does? It goes inside of the microvilli of your stomach and it knocks over the microvilli. When it knocks over the microvilli, it breaks them apart. Now what happens is the blood and brain mucosa barrier that separates your stomach from your internals, it breaks open. So now what happens is all the little bitty food particles and anti-nutrients and micronutrients slip through the stomach, and it's called leaky gut. And it start messing with stuff. Guess what this do? This stir up what they call the immunological systems. So now you got T cells, B cells, lymphocytes, phagocytes, all different types of the immune system going and fighting, trying to get rid of these foreign invaders, all because you eating foods and grains you're not supposed to be eating that's completely destroying our mental bodies, our spiritual bodies, and our physical bodies. Grains are the seeds of foods. Seeds supposed to be left alone to regrow crops. So what they did was, or what the creator did was, put something called lectins inside of them to protect that plant. Put something called wheat agglutinin, germ agglutinin inside of it to protect that plant. Put something called saponins inside of it to protect that plant. Put something called tannins inside of it to protect that plant. So if we see that it is fighting for its life not to be eaten just to regrow things to give us food, then why are we eating them?
Children are our future, family. Make sure you go and buy Caleb Petey in the Forest on Amazon today. It's a visual masterpiece in terms of giving your child the confidence that they need to know who they are, family. Caleb Petey in the Forest on Amazon. Go get it.
Peace, 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 love, light of healing, peace to the gods, peace to the earth. If you're looking for any alkaline herbs, if you're looking for healing, if you're looking just to have your body cleansed, if you're looking to reach certain weight goals, anything when it comes to holistic healing, make sure you visit www.YahkiAwakened.com. Again, www.YahkiAwakened.com.
If seeds aren't supposed to be eaten, the whole health community is eating watermelon seeds.
Notice the seeds that we can eat abundantly got hell of them inside of it. When you see a watermelon, it's damn near impossible to pick all the seeds out of the watermelon. Apple seeds are neurotoxins. The flesh of the apple's good, but you eat too many apple seeds, it will kill you dead as a doorknob. Look this stuff up. But notice how many seeds in an apple. You get the 6 at most to each apple. So you have to start looking at it. Then you got to look at how big the seeds are, how small they is, and based off of how the variation and the diversity of seeds and assimilating it with nature, you can see which ones you're supposed to be eating or not. But I mean, a lot of people think plants like to be ate. Plants do not like to be ate. They hate being ate. That's how you know we're frugivores and we're supposed to eat the reproductive part of the plant. We're supposed to eat the yielding fruit of the plant, not the seeds, not the stems, and sometimes not even the leaves. These things got high yielding lactic anti-nutrients in them where they can regrow the fruit for you can have food on your plate.
I've been asking people that for years because I've read somewhere that plants, some of them will actually secrete something.
Yes, it's called lectins. Anti-nutrients. And that kills. So plants have their own natural pesticide and herbicides to them. They have their own natural pesticide that will kill a rat dead. Have you ever heard of something called ricin? That come from castor beans. They use it. Look, ricin is so potent that actual terrorists use ricin to make bombs and to make chemical agents to kill people. This is naturally produced by 3 beans. Showing you that beans is not even good. We think beans is good. We say beans is good for your heart. Beans has something called amylopectin C in it. Amylopectin C is impossible to even be broken down by the actual amylase and the trypsin that's produced by your salivary glands and by your stomach. And this is why I stay in your stomach so long and the more you eat, the more you fart, is because the body can't break it down. The microbiome is trying to break these things down, and all of that hard work is creating lactic acid and methane. Lactic acid, methane, and hydrogen and oxygen mixed together make an atomic bomb. So you walking around funkerizing the world and you don't even know why, because the food is warning you that it's not food. These are plant embryos. A bean is a plant embryo. Just like a chicken egg or an egg is a plant embryo. I mean, there's an embryo of that chicken. So why are we eating these things? That's why you're supposed to sprout your beans, the ones that you can't eat. And the only bean that I would consider you eating is something called a chickpea bean, which is not a bean, it's a part of the legume family. Then you look at the legume family, you're supposed to sprout your legumes, sprout your quinoa. You're supposed to sprout your actual chickpeas and your garbanzo beans. You sprout your wild rice, let it open up. You sprout these things, and not only that, when you put water on them, you actually dilute the lectins in them. So the lectins won't tear up your gut, they won't give you irritable bowel syndrome, they won't cause headaches, they won't cause toxemia of the blood. So you sprout these things. Now when you sprout them, they're giving birth to a plant. Eat that reproductive part. That's this scientifically show you that we were once frugivores and that we still are frugivores. And I think in many different lifetimes from now, we're going to head back into that.
So continuing with the food forensics investigation, something that's a common ingredient that we see in almost all the food that we buy in the supermarket is something, they always have an ingredient called natural flavors. Now from what I studied and what I read, it may sound a little out there, but I read that natural flavors is roadkill.
Yeah, roadkill, grinded up bones of animals, goat semen, bull semen, unnatural dyes. I mean, there's so much stuff that they doing to make these things taste and assimilate like other foods. So natural flavors, always stay away from that. Even roach juice they use as natural flavor. Like if you look at the Tropicana orange juice, they actually use roach juice. They squeeze roaches and suck out all the juices of them, and then they put them in there, and it gives it that taste. Again, they grind up the bones of animals, and you're getting the bone marrow. I mean, all types of nasty things that they doing to make these things, these artificial flavors, taste like the real thing.
So what about garlic? Let's go to garlic. Good or bad? I've heard it's good. It's it's bad.
It's both.
Medicinal.
It's both. For extreme case, you're gonna use it for a couple of days. I say run with it. You know, it's very good, but you know, it do tear up the stomach. It eats up the mucosal membrane lining of your stomach. It causes leaky gut if used too much. But you know, for a certain punch, or you packing a punch just to get rid of something real quick, I don't shy away from it. Now, what I'm talking about, and the garlic I'm speaking of, is black garlic. I don't recommend anybody take the white garlic at all. It's extracted from all of its melanin. It don't have any nutritive factors in it, and is actually at a 2.7 on a potential hydrogen scale. The black garlic from Jerusalem is still slightly acidic. It's around 6.5 on the potential hydrogen scale, but it's gonna burn you less, and it will get the job done very quick in an extreme case. I say a lot of stuff work real quick, but long-term longevity, I wouldn't eat garlic every day. And I'm specifically speaking about black garlic.
Man, so I got a question for the queens out there that's, you know, pregnant or have been pregnant or will be pregnant. You mentioned about how these parasites or this bacteria could send messages to your mind, make you crave certain things. One of the things pregnant women are big on that they go through is cravings. They get these crazy cravings out of nowhere. Yeah. Are these parasites making these pregnant women crave these things?
I wouldn't call the baby a parasite, but it is the baby. But if you look at the baby is kind of like a foreign object in the body. Matter of fact, the woman's so-called immunological system does everything to try to kick the baby out. Literally. It's even some cases where it works, where the baby blood goes against the mother blood, and it's this whole immunological war that happens between the mother and child in the womb.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it happens a lot. So I would say this. I would say between the embryome and all of the pheromones and all of the different melanin neurotransmitter secretions that's happening between the umbilical cord and the mother, the baby do give you cravings. I just think our cravings is so messed up, and our sensory senses have been hijacked by parasites and by these artificial intelligence and just unnatural things, that the cravings that the baby sends to tell you that you're hungry, just like the microbiota tells the gut to tell the brain it's hungry. I think that we misconceptualize what we really supposed to be eating as far as our craving. You'll hear her say, well, I feel like I wanted to eat pineapple with peanut butter today. You see, that's something that usually don't match, you know, in this society. But truly, it's just that you mismatching your taste buds. Because if you never had peanut butter, that signal would have never, been signaled off. If you never had a piece of chicken, how can a baby tell you to have a taste for something that you never tasted before?
Right,
so I think it's a different mixture of being culturally hijacked by different people, fake foods being impersonated and pushed on us. Then we get the cravings from the baby, and the baby send the mother's cravings out of whack, and they start wanting things that they wasn't supposed to be eating in the first place, that they were actually programmed and taught to eat.
So we call breast milk liquid gold for these babies.
Yeah, it is.
How beneficial could breast milk be for a grown dude like me or you, man?
Not beneficial. Because for instance, so we talking about galactose. You have 3 forms of sugar. You have fructose, you have glucose, and you have galactose. Galactose starts fermenting and turning into a mucosa stimulant at the time the baby reached the age of 3. So that's why you see babies getting weaned off at the age of 3.
Yeah.
You start seeing it bring up that mucus, and I'm talking about even because we have to realize what milk is. Milk is a part of lymphocytes. This is the lymphatic system of the woman, produced by the pituitary gland. It's called prolactin. Prolactin gets signaled by the pituitary gland, and then that's what stimulates the actual milk ducts and creates and formulate this milk. This milk have lymphocytes in it. It's got colostrum in it, and it's mixed with blood. That's actually what makes up the composition of milk. Milk do have little amino acids. Milks have 0.7% protein. 0.7. They don't have, it literally have no protein in it, and they got a hell of a lot of sugar called galactose. That's what make milk. So potentially when you sucking on milk, you sucking on the lymphatic system of your mother, which is the reason why we're not supposed to be drinking milk from any other mammal but our mother. But the age of from 1 to 3, when you start producing amylase and trypsin inside of your mouth, these are your food tasting things to start breaking down, more solid foods. And we see that start being produced in the baby between 6 months and a year, and then you see trypsin come in between a year and 2 years. So based off of your teeth, when they start growing in, and based off of the different alkaline secretion that breaks down your food, it shows you that you're supposed to be weaning that baby from literally 1.5 to 3. After 3, it's done. Because once you start sucking on that breast milk after 3, you start getting a mucosa response like you drinking any other regular milk from a cow or from a lamb.
That's a lot of pregnant women will love to hear that.
Yeah.
Wow. So since we talk about milk, let's talk about honey. Sadhguru says the chemical composition of honey is very similar to that of human blood. He calls it a superfood.
Yes, it's a very good superfood, but we got to be specific, and we have to talk about which honey that he's referring to. If I know Sadhguru, he's referring to Manuka honey. That's Manuka. That's really the only honey that I recommend. I'm a honey freak though. I love honey. It's very, very good for you. But there is certain honeys in a secretion that is naturally acidic that I don't recommend for people. But Manuka honey is amazing. I want you to research on that too, man. Manuka honey.
How beneficial, how healing, how helpful, how therapeutic is a kiss? When a mother kisses her child, or if you have a significant other, you kiss, like what's happening when like you see the Matrix when Neo kissed Trinity, and shit just started happening all through their body.
We're talking about hormones, and we're talking about neurotransmitters, and when you speak about the melanated people, we're talking about melanin neurotransmitters and hormones and different types of receptors and endorphins and dendrites firing off in the brain. If you look at energy and motion or emotions, every emotion is expressed and backed by chemistry or a chemical. And the chemical for love is oxytocin.
Yes. Just
like the chemical for stress is cortisol. The chemical for fear is adrenaline. You see what I'm saying? The chemical for fight or flight or hatred or anger is epinephrine and neuroepinephrine. The chemical for happiness is dopamine. You see what I'm saying? So each chemical, each emotion or energy emotion you go through in reality have a chemical exchange in the brain, especially doing with the hippocampus and the hippocampus and the hypothalamus gland. And these things go through all the intricate system of what we call the 7 meridian pathways or centers or chakras in the body, and they express themselves like a computer, and then you express that chemical composition with an outward appearance and action. So a kiss, whether it be from your significant other or whether it be from your child, that's a binding chemical hormone that releases endorphins and hormones called oxytocin, and that euphoria actually trip dopamine too, and it just give you that sense of belonging to something. And and that's what we need inside of this world. We're cultural people. We are tribal people. That's why we gang bang and all of the stuff we do in a negative way, because we really reflect on our ancestors and what we did epigenetic wise. We gang bang we gang bang because we as a tribal people going to war with tribes, and we grew up in community. Same thing with a kiss. So I think a kiss and things like that is amazing, but we have to realize that every physical manifestation and every physical act have a chemical composition or a chemical exchange of the brain. And these chemical exchanges, guess what they're being utilized by?
What?
The microbiota. Say that. So that's how important. So is we really kissing our significant other, or is it the bacteria inside of us kissing other bacteria? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy shit if you think about it.
Since you took it back to bacteria, if I have an amazing diet, like let's say your queen is raw food diet, she gets around another queen that still eats meat, can her bacteria from her go on to the, like say they hug, every time they meet each other they hug, will her bacteria influence the bacteria of the other sister
most
to
definitely
cause her to eat healthier?
I mean, yeah, but even before the bacteria, which that can happen, that is very possible. But we talking about aura fields too, that the bacteria emits off, because like we just talking, the bacteria, the microbiota have their own halo because they come with a certain hertz and frequency. So they already permeate at a certain frequency, like a bumblebee. Notice a bumblebee can fly and take flight, but it seems impossible because the short wings can lift this big old body. So how is it really, it got supernatural anti-gravitational technology to a bumblebee because it vibrated a certain frequency, and that's the reason why it's able to levitate and fly around, because it's impossible to fly around. Same thing with your auric field and the microbiota or the microbiota that's within us. It's already emitting a certain type of frequency. So you can change somebody without even touching them. The frequency in the aura can change. It's called the electromagnetic field or the magnetic grid. Back in the times when we was much taller and when we was blue, black, and green, that's the color of our hue. Dr. Phil Valentine talk about this all the time. When we are so black, we shine blue, or we actually permeated the color of our chakras based off the thought process. He's talking, it's in one of his lectures called Metaphysical DNA. I need y'all to go check that out. You will actually see and realize that we are able to affect each other telepathically through our biofield without even touching one another. So if we can do that without touching one another, just imagine how powerful a touch is. Then we got to get into certain viruses like chickenpox. That's contagious by the touch. Shingles, that's contagious by the touch. So if that's contagious by the touch, and viruses and proteins do with the microbiota, then of course it can be in a positive way as well.
Why is it? Let me ask you this. We're talking about the power of a kiss or a hug or whatever. Why, I always wondered this, why the picture we see of a heart, we taught since we're young, first grade, kindergarten, we see this symbol of a heart.
Yeah, it's a Becker's leaf, yeah.
It don't look nothing like the heart.
No.
So why we keep getting this symbol of a heart that don't look nothing like the heart?
That's Greek mythology. They have nothing to do with our culture in this Greek mythology. We have symbolized that to do with the heart. You get with Greek mythology, Cupid, Zeus, and it's got something to do with that. And it has something to do with homosexual origins too. When you get into Valentine's Day, orgy days, Alexander the Great, when they ransacked the temples in Jerusalem and had sex in the temples and ate and did it in pig's blood and all types of crazy stuff. It don't look nothing like the heart. So, we have to realize that we are in a culture where people come in and write themselves into her story, change it to his story, and just create symbols and images, and they express their will or they spells through imagery. It's called sigils, S-I-G-I-L, and these sigils or these seals, they have a certain frequency and magic that permeates on us and change our whole perception of things. So you will see a heart and you would think love, when we don't know this heart is attached to so many demonic entities and cultures that the African culture or the Aboriginal culture would not stand for at all.
Wow. So in terms of I've been taught that growing up in the health community and learning about this veganism and everything, that when you urinate, the clearer your urine is, the healthier you are, the better your diet is. Now I see you say the contrary.
Yeah.
You showed a picture of healthy urine. I'm like, this brother looked like he had a little Hennessy in that cup or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So where do you come up with this? My diet is good. my diet, whenever my diet gets better, my urine gets clearer. So where do you come up with this? The urine, clear urine is not healthy.
Clear urine is not healthy at all. Your urinary tract whole sole purpose is create urea by your blood and by your lymphatic system, go through the kidneys, filter out the good, filter out the acidic waste through urea, and then you get rid of it in the commode. So if you look at the urinary tract is connected through the urethra. Urethra is connected to tubules. These tubules is connected to the kidneys. The kidneys is the filtration system of the body. So whatever the kidneys is filtrating dead cells, metabolic waste, broken down proteins, toxemia, and things like that, right? So this has a different color to it. Just like when the blood hit oxygen, it rusts. It's called oxidative stress. It turns red. Same thing with these different type of chemicals that break down inside of the body. Once it's fully breaking down, it gives you this urea yellow color, right? Not only that, your urine is not only supposed to be yellow, it's supposed to have a white settlement, and this white settlement is white blood corpuscles. So not only, and it's lymph. If you look at lymphocytes and broken down lymph fluids, because the lymphatic system is what cleanses the entire cellular mechanism. You have something called the circulatory system, which is the blood that feeds the cells of the body. Then you have the nervous system, which communicates and commands the cells of the body. Then you have the lymphatic system that cleanses the cells of the body. Once the lymphatic system cleanses the cells, where do all the toxins and the trash go? It breaks down by something called lymph nodes. It goes through its lymph vessel. It ends up in the kidneys. The kidneys filtrate it out through the tubules. The tubules connect to the urethra. The urethra connects to the actual urinary tract, and then you urinate it out. So if you're eating and your food is metabolically processing these broken down foods, where is the waste going? The waste, everybody think the waste going to poop. No, that is macro waste. We talking about cellular micro waste. That goes through the urine. So how can your urine be clear if the body is supposedly cleansing the cells, and that's the way it cleanses the cells of all the metabolic toxic waste like urea, broken down protein, and metabolic waste that have a tint and a color to it. And the color and tint of urea is yellow. It have a smell to it. The smell smells a little bit like a light vinegar, and then it have a white settlement in it. This is called metabolic waste. So your urine is supposed to be yellow with a dense white cloud that sinks to the bottom of it, and it's supposed to have a slight smell. We're not talking about colors like this. If your urine is the color of my garment and the color of this chair or the color of your shirt, it's an issue. But if your urine have a tinted yellow, even slightly darker yellow to it, with a smell, like that ammonia smell, and you see that white cloud, that means that your kidneys is doing its job, which is filtrating. So if it's the opposite, contrary, and it's clear, then I mean your kidneys is not doing its job. Or it's either one. Your kidneys not doing its job, which is filtrating all the metabolic waste, or your lymphatic system is not doing its job, which is picking up all of this metabolic waste through something called the interstitial fluid of the body, taking it to the lymph nodes and getting it to the lymph vessels to the kidneys.
I take it you don't practice urine therapy, my brother?
No. Why would I drink my own toxemia?
A lot of people say it's...
They say it's the chrism. They say that the Bible teach you to drink your own oil, which come from you. I can believe that. Like 1,000 years ago, when we didn't have artificial food, we didn't have GMO, we didn't have grains and wheats and all of this other stuff, when we didn't have all these different laboratories, we didn't have herbicides, pesticides, chemtrails, we didn't have tainted water, we didn't have mercury and lead, brimmium and all of the shit we eat. I can believe that. Of course, you drink from your own fountain, but that's because you having alkaline piss. We don't got alkaline piss. Your piss right now is at a 6.2 on the potential hydrogen scale. You can't show me piss that's alkaline. Piss ain't supposed to be alkaline because your urine is what gets rid of acids. So it don't even make sense for us to drink it right now. Now, in a good world where we eating food that's organically grown, there's no grocery stores, agriculture and permaculture is high in our culture, I can see that. But just in this place and time, urine therapy looked like a death sentence to me. And that's just my simple opinion, dealing with the hundreds and hundreds of healing cases we got. Because when I'm healing somebody, guess how we keep track and make sure that they healing well? We tell them we need a urine sample to check their kidney filtration. And if their urine sample is clear, we say, dang, you not filtering yet. If their urine sample got too many bubbles in it, we say, damn, you pissing too many proteins. If their urine sample is yellow, we say, uh-oh, it look like we got some action. Then once we see that white settlement actually descend to the bottom of the commode, we say, now we got some actually kidney filtration. Your body is healing. Your kidneys is now filtrating all the metabolic waste out of the body. So how in the hell can clear urine be healthy?
Let's get a little metaphysical.
Let's do it.
Real quick. They say empty space is the fullness of non-material intelligence. It's not empty, it's full.
Yes, no such thing as empty space at all.
So, I just had some blueberries in this building. Now, this is the fullness of non-material intelligence. I guess it could be programmed by the people that speak in here, the actions that, whether a murder took place in here, whether praying took place in here, whether meditation took place in here. It creates a different vibe in here.
It creates, the Chinese call it feng shui.
Feng shui. Now, I'm eating my blueberries. How influential is this empty space of non-material intelligence, the fullness of non-material intelligence to the food I ate? My food is empty. Is this empty? Is this programming my food as I'm eating it?
Or is the food programming it? You will start seeing when you get into electricity, it's usually the most powerful conductivity or conduit is what override anything else. So if there's a lot of negativity going in over here and you come in with an ounce of positivity and love, this will change the whole vibe, in the whole entire space. There's no such thing as space. There's no such thing as time. Everything is a continuation of matter. So, you know, these are just different folds of reality encapsulated within each other, and we just not vibrating to these frequencies, so we can't see these sentient beings that's around us. We can't see the different timelines and frequencies that's around us, but they in fact are here right now. So you most definitely can influence, because everything is a frequency. So the moment that you deal with another frequency like blueberries, which is very, very alkaline, have a very, very negative ion charge, which is truly positive, of course that's going to change the ambiance and change the feng shui around in the room. Not only that, it's going to trigger something in somebody else's brain and say, damn, I ate chicken today, but this brother coming in here eating blueberries. Because you already can look at it just by the color of it and see the melanin present in it to know that it's vibrating up out of the plastic, vibrating up out of the can. So that's going to automatically make you think about things that, how to change your diet and things that you should or should not be doing. So yes, I believe that anything that holds information have the influence or the ability to change information around us, which would be empty, full space.
Excellent, my brother. Children are our future, family. Make sure you go and buy Caleb Petey in the Forest on Amazon today. It's a visual masterpiece in terms of giving your child the confidence that they need to know who they are, family. Caleb Petey in the Forest on Amazon. Go get it.
Peace, 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 love, light of healing, peace to the gods, peace to the earth. If you're looking for any alkaline herbs, if you're looking for healing, if you're looking just to have your body cleansed, if you're looking to reach certain weight goals, anything when it comes to holistic healing, make sure you visit www.YahkiAwakened.com. Again, www.YahkiAwakened.com.
So we know about grounding and the metaphysics of grounding and how important it is to ground in the grass with your feet. Now, if we observe ourselves and look at ourselves as antennas to this divine intelligence we call God, and we're grounding and we're getting this intelligence by grounding. You know, you see the yoga people when they do all these poses and sometimes they be going like that. What if the feet are able to do that? What about the hands? What if you got you in yoga and you in the grass?
Hands able to do the same thing.
Oh, the hands is the same thing?
Yeah, same thing. Like if you look at your body is called a dipole antenna. Dipole, just di means two.
Dipole antenna.
Yeah, just like you have disaccharides, two sugar phosphate backbone. So we're dipole antennas. I was telling you this in the last one, that you know you have a right and a left, you have a neutral, your liver grounds your brain, your pituitary produces zinc, copper, gold. Notice how your heart beat through a rigomatic frequency, through magnetics. You have what you'll call the autonomic nervous system, the intrinsic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, central nervous system. So you have all of these electrical conduits inside of your body showing you that you are a transmission of something. And then this transmission called the vehicle or the avatar. Then you have trillions of bacteria in this mug moving this vehicle or this avatar. So everything inside of you actually have a frequency, and you have inputs and outputs to everything. Just like your eyes are inputs and outputs. You can see things and then you can reflect these things, and these things can come back and feed you feedback. Like your ears, you can hear things just like your mouth. You can taste things just like your touch senses or your thermal receptors. You can feel whether it's heat or cold, like it's hot as hell right now. All of this showing you that you're a transmission. Things flow through you and things flow out of you. So usually you use your feet to pull things up from the electromagnetic grid or from the earth, and you use your hands to put things as an output That's why if you get in the Bible, if you get into Qigong, they call it the healing of hands, where you can ground yourself and you can touch somebody, you can heal them. Showing you that hands is usually the output. In Hebrew, it's called the yod. And the hand starts from the elbows to the tip of the fingers. And what they do, this is where this symbol actually come from. This is a Hebraic symbol. This really didn't come from Star Trek. Master Yoda really means Master Yahudim or Master Judah, the tribe of Judah. Yeah, notice he spoke backwards because Hebrew is in backwards. When you speak Hebrew, you're speaking it backwards. If I say Ani Ahev Atah, I said I love you, but I'm really saying you who I love. You see that? So that's why Master Yoda spoke backwards in all of the different segments and episodes he did. So these are used as actual outputs. Your feet is used as inputs, and you're grabbing all of your electrical information from the electrical magnetic grid of the earth. Wow. So yeah, so they do the same thing. These are just your inputs, and these are your outputs.
Wow.
Yeah. Makes sense.
My brother. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I ain't never seen nobody do give somebody when somebody go to cardiac arrest and they need their heart pump. I don't never see them do it with their feet. The feet planted, right? Them knees planted. They doing it like this. They go with their hands. Wow. Same thing with fighting.
Even when they're healing, they heal with their hands.
Healing hands, yeah. Even with meditation, notice you rest your feet, but you're using your hands to do these. You use your hands to breathe and to get into your mudras. All this is with the hands because the hands are outputs. Even with magic, when you say magic, abracadabra, what you doing with your hands? What you doing with your wands? Even when you talking to somebody, you speak with your hands. All this is to influence the energy that's around us in this so-called empty space is really full space.
So let me ask you. So we got this TV behind. This brother's bad, man. We got this TV behind us now. In the old school, when we had a TV like this, there's no signal. Yeah. We want to get a signal. We put an antenna on there.
Look, hold on. You put a dipole antenna because the antenna got two what? Prongs. A dipole.
Just like the body.
Just like the body.
You just said that.
You see that? Yeah. And guess what you catch? A signal.
A signal.
Yeah.
So to catch a signal, you got to sometimes you got to put it in weird positions. I want to ask you, because I see certain positions people do, and they say, well, this means that, like you talked about the mudras. Now you see Superman, and he's standing like this. Yeah. Now, what is that? What kind of signal is that picking up if they keep telling us Superman, and you see successful people, a lot of times their chest is out and they standing like this. What signal is that picking up on?
That's, for me, that represents the alpha male. If you see gorillas do the same thing. Bears, when they get agitated and they want to fight, they stand up and do the same thing. So that's just that conquering sensation in you. That's that manly alpha male in you. And then, your head down is beta male. You got different type of fighting stance, all this stuff. You basically, you're manipulating the energy and you're generating the energy around you. That's why when you get into certain type of martial arts, notice how they move their hands. They're grabbing energy. It's called the chi, or what they call the cho, which is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. All of this is just manipulating the elements around you and using that energy to do some magical stuff with. So yeah, stance is important, poses is important, mudras is important, mantras is important, the way you pray is important, whether you face in the east, whether you face in the north, whether you face in the south, that's important. Same way that dipole antenna that you put on your TV, it has some static, but then you move it and turn the position and it's more in alignment with the cosmic energy. Now you're getting the signal. Same thing with your body. That's why position and posture is important. Saying how you holding your mudra. It's important. You generating. And notice you got your thumbs together. So you're getting all the electrical energy to recycle throughout the body. Imagine a mudra without the thumbs not even being, the thumb, this is your recycler. So imagine you just holding a mudra like, you can't even call it a mudra unless the thumbs touch. You see that? So, I mean, we instinctively know this stuff and we do it all the time, even with handshakes or when you throw up gang signs. All of this stuff is metaphysical manipulation. We just getting it fed through us by the ancestors, so we don't know what the fuck we doing when we really just following the ancient paths and practices of our ancestors.
Just like when Rockefeller, when they was doing,
Indeed. Same thing.
Indeed. I was listening to a battle rapper named Daylight, and one thing he said was that his life changed when he raised his eyebrows. Now, a person would say, what does that mean? A lot of people walk around, they may walk around like this. A lot of brothers walk, maybe, whatever. He said when he raised his eyebrows, things changed. Opportunities started coming. He started meeting certain people. He said, he swear to God, it happens as soon as he raises his eyebrows. What does that, from a brother with the knowledge you have, does that make sense to you?
It makes sense to me. I mean, when you raise your eyebrows, see what muscles that you actually flexing inside of your head. You flexing certain different muscles that's actually inciting the pineal gland. And then you have something called acupuncture, but you have something called acupressure. Tell me why these are different acupressures right here that actually turns on your pineal gland and your pituitary gland. So it's just ironic. I never heard nothing like that. But if you actually raise them, you can see them. And if you touch them right here, this is what we do to activate the pineal gland too, and acupressure. So I find that ironically, you know, pleasing. That sounds dope if you think about it, because you actually are moving certain muscles and you're activating them brains. And you know, your face it's called reflexology, where I can read your face. I can tell you if you got a bad gut just by looking between your eyes, certain pimples, looking at your eyes, or you got iridology, where I look inside of your irises and I can check the whole internal clock and mapping of your body, all based off your face. So it would make sense that you can move certain muscles and position your face to change your frequency. I mean, think about this too, to go deeper. If I piss you off right now, is you gonna look like that?
No.
Your face gonna change.
It's gonna change.
If you happy and you smiling, ain't your face gonna change? All based off of frequencies that I'm feeding you. So it makes sense that if you move and you change the muscles and the structures of your face, it'll remold and shape the energy and the reality and frequency around you.
Now I gotta keep going, y'all. So you know about iridology. And if you notice, a lot of superstars, or what we call important people, they wear sunglasses. Is this a form of protection where a person can't penetrate your aura, where it's blocked? They're like, damn, I want to see, and it's blocked because of sunglasses?
Well, we got metaphysical wise, yes.
Yeah.
But we got three things that's going on with the athletes. A lot of them are demons and sold their souls. A lot of them, these entertainers, not all of them, because I hang with a lot of them too, so I'm not knocking them, but let's keep it real. Most of these people are getting into things that they're not supposed to be in. So, you know, we know that the eyes are the window to the souls. So of course you're gonna block them. Two, we got a lot of drug heads in the industry, especially the rappers. Most of them high all the time, out they mind, Percocets, lean, they on weed, all of them together. Sometimes they on 5 different drugs at one time. So you're gonna cover your eyes. And then last but not least, if the eye's the window to the soul, and then everything is off a light code frequency, why not block that light from things getting in and from things getting out?
So you talked about meditating, and you see my hands, and this has nothing to do with the Illuminati family. This is a science, because that's what they'll say.
Yeah.
So you talked about, you know, the thumbs and everything like that. When we meditate, some of the people that's in the Qigong, they teach us about putting the tongue
to the
on
roof of your mouth. You pushing pressure up to stimulate the pineal gland, and you create secretions in your mouth too that give you different energy and motion and chemical compositions and chemical exchanges in the body to give you more clairvoyance and focus. Another thing is using your mudras while you're meditating and breathing. You know, you can come in like this, bring it back in, you can bring it up to your heart, bring it up to your eye, bring it up to your head, and then, you know, so all of these different things put together is just different ancient paths, and these are just different channels and highways and byways to get you closer to that reflection that you was here to be. You are antenna to your higher self. That's who you hollering at. You are attentive to your higher self. You're praying to your higher self. These affirmations are to your higher self, because all of us and our higher selves put together make up who God truly is. God is expressing himself in 7 billion different vehicles, for he can literally play around with his own creation. See, we have this sense of individualism that really don't mean nothing. We are really social, communal, tribal people. So I think all of these exercises should be used together. Ham, sham, sheen, yod, hey, wav, hey. We doing the verbiage, we getting vocal with it, using the throat chakra. We using our heart chakra because we bringing our hands and our thumbs to it. We using our solar plex. We using our keter, I am, I be, I stand, I know, I see. So we using our bodies, we using our hands and motions, we're grounding our feet, we using our breath, we using our sound, and we using a third eye. True original martial arts come from Africa. You will see that they did their meditations all in one. They didn't do one minute and did the other. They did everything in one form and one breath. Yeah.
Do you ever play music to your food?
Transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. Whether you play music to your food or not, so-called black people, we are so in tune with music and rhythmatic frequencies in our food. Notice the moment you get some food, you dancing, you singing, you got to turn on something. That's called food ceremony, which everybody should get into that, sitting on the floor with the whole entire family, not eating apart, eating together, sharing different types of moments, playing music, humming over the food, dancing together, moving your shoulders, because all this is a ritualistic practice to help you perfect the God in you. And again, frequency is everything. We done seen music grow plants. We done seen bad words, destroy plants. We done seen good words grow plants. We done seen, you change the structure of molecules in water just by writing something on the glass as bad. But then the water will structuralize itself and come hexogenic and be beautiful and have beautiful patterns just by you writing life on it. So, I'd say speak life into everything and play good music with a certain frequency into every single thing that we want to see have longevity.
I seen Dr. Africa come on the scene, heal people, have a little different style from you and Dr. Sabi. It's similar, but have a little different style.
Yeah, all three of us got a pretty different stand.
And the list goes on and on and on, where teachers come with different styles, have different teachers, but all get results.
Same results, yeah.
So is it your light that's getting the result? Like, is it your electromagnetic being? Is your light, when people look at you, when they're around you, are they being healed by your light and not what you're actually giving them? Could you tell them just to do this on their face and it'll heal them, and it might heal them, but it's because of your light that's doing that.
All healing come with fasting and detoxification of any sort. Getting on a Dr. Sabi diet, even though I don't believe that diet is a ultimate fasting diet. You still are cutting off a lot of different things that you wouldn't normally eat on a everyday basis. Same thing with Baba Africa. I don't agree with his diet per se, and I'm pretty sure they probably wouldn't agree with mine. But if you look at all of our diets, one thing we do have in common is we're adding more electricity, we're adding more alkaline cellular foods, and we're getting rid of all the bad stuff that's causing very bad mucus, suffocation of our cells, and oxidative stress. You're going to automatically feel good by doing that in the first place. Then last but not least, we have to talk about the biology of belief, that a belief alone can change a biological structure. And that's where this new healing and technology and medicine is going to. We getting away from the herbs. It's time to stop even damaging plants. We're moving into a breatharian kingdom where we're going to be just breathing, and we moving into a technology of just pure light beam to heal. Just the belief alone. If you say you full and you think you full, you full. Just the belief alone. If you say you healed and you proclaim you healed, you healed. And I think they have a lot to do with it, but sometimes you have to set that environment for that belief to take root. And that's what you got healing homes for. That's what you got herbs for. That's what you got different foods and cellular foods for. But we are going into a consciousness in this 5D that we're expanding to, and our consciousness is elevating to, just off of word and belief and sound and light alone. We can establish in everything that we've been accomplishing, doing with the herbs and the fruits and everything. I mean, and it's coming fast. So I believe that all of these different modalities work is because it's a present of belief there. And not only is the present of belief there, but we are changing our diet. I can tell Dr. Sabi all day that I don't agree with his diet. And guess what he gonna tell me? I believe it because it works. I can tell Baba Africa all day, hey, look, I don't agree with your diet. Guess what he gonna say? I got results and it works. So what's the common denominator? Their belief.
Yes.
And they're changing the environment and taking certain things out of the environment that's stopping the body from being compromised.